तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
गजानना 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 प्रथम पूजन गणराया प्रथम पूजन गणराया प्रथम पूजन गणराया प्रथम पूजन गणराया गजानना 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 प्रथम प्रार्थना श्री गणराया प्रार्थना श्री गणराया प्रथम प्रार्थना श्री गणराया प्रथम प्रार्थना श्री गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया गजानना 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 प्रथम पूजन गणराया प्रथम पूजन गणराया गजानना 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 प्रथम प्रार्थना श्री गणराया प्रथम प्रार्थना श्री गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया लंबोदरा गणराया गजानना गजानना
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
मंदर गिरिधर शिरडी महेश्वर
गिरिधर शिरडी महेश्वर
मंदर गिरिधर शिरडी महेश्वर
मंदर गिरिधर शिरडी महेश्वर
जय
जय परमेश्वर साई शिवा
जय परमेश्वर साई शिवा
जय परमेश्वर साई शिवा
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
सुंदर रूपा श्री साई देवा
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 वैदेही मोहन नारायणा
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 गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद मंदर गिरिधर शिरडी महेश्वर
मंदर गिरिधर श्री महेश्वर
जय परमेश्वर साई शिवा
जय परमेश्वर साई
गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद सुंदर रूपा श्री साई देवा
सुंदर रूपा श्री साई देवा
वैदेही मोहन नारायणा
वैदेही मोहन नारायणा
वैदेही मोहन नारायणा
वैदेही
वैदेही मोहन नारायणा गुरुदेवा गुरु गोविंद
ओंकार रूपिणी जननी मां ओंकार रूपिणी जननी मंगलकारिणी जननी मंगलकारिणी जननी ओंकार रूपिणी जननी ज्ञान विनोदिनी जननी ज्ञान विनोदिनी जननी आनंददायिनी जननी माँ परतीश्वरी माँ, जननी माँ परतीश्वरी माँ, जननी माँ परतीश्वरी माँ, ओंकार रूपिणी जननी माँ। कृष्ण माधवा माधव कृष्ण, कृष्ण माधवा माधव कृष्ण, कृष्ण माधवा माधव कृष्ण, कृष्ण माधवा माधव कृष्ण, कृष्ण माधवा साई हरे, कृष्ण माधवा साई हरे, कृष्ण माधवा साई हरे, वृंदावन संचारी श्याम गोपाला, वृंदावन संचारी श्याम गोपाला, जय मधुसूदन जय नंदलाला, जय मधुसूदन जय नंदलाला, झूल न झूले मेरे साई नंदलाला, झूले मेरे साई नंदलाला, झूल न झूले मेरे साई नंदलाला, झूल न झूले मेरे साई नंदलाला, कृष्ण माधवा माधव कृष्ण, माधव कृष्ण, कृष्ण माधवा साई हरे, वृंदावन संचारी श्याम गोपाला, जय मधुसूदन जय नंदलाला, झूल न झूले मेरे साई नंदलाला, झूल न झूले मेरे साई नंदलाला, कृष्ण माधवा माधव कृष्ण, हरे साई 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 हरे हरे, हरे साई 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 हरे हरे, हरे बाबा बाल बाबा हरे 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 बाबा बाल बाबा हरे 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 साई 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 हरे हरे अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणम् अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणम् कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं भजे कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं भजे श्रीधरं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभम् श्रीधरं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभम् सद्गुरुनायकं साईरामं भजे सद्गुरुनायकं साईरामं भजे हरे साई 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 हरे 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 बाबा बाल बाबा हरे 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 साई साई हरे हरे अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणम् कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं भजे श्रीधरं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभम् सद्गुरुनायकं साईरामं भजे सद्गुरुनायकं साईरामं भजे हरे साई साई हरे हरे कस्तूरी रंगा कावेटी रंगा कस्तूरी रंगा कावेटी रंगा श्रीरंग रंगा 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 श्रीरंग रंगा रंगा कल्याण रंगा करुणांतरंगा कल्याण रंगा करुणांतरंगा श्रीरंग रंगा रंगा श्रीरंग रंगा रंगा కస్తూరి రంగా కావేటి రంగా శ్రీరంగ రంగా 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 శ్రీరంగ రంగా రంగా కళ్యాణ రంగా కరుణాచరంగా శ్రీరంగ రంగా రంగా గరుడ గమన రంగా శేషశయన రంగా శ్రీరంగ రంగా 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 శ్రీరంగ రంగా రంగా కస్తూరి రంగా కావేటి రంగా
विठला हरी विठला विठला हरी विठला विठला हरी विठला हरी विठला विठला हरी विठला पांडुरंग विठले हरी नारायण पांडुरंग विठले हरी नारायण पुरंदर विठले हरी नारायण पुरंदर विठले हरी नारायण हरी नारायण भज नारायण हरी नारायण भज नारायण साई नारायण सत्य नारायण हरी नारायण साई नारायण सत्य नारायण हरी नारायण विठला हरी विठला विठला हरी विठला विठला हरी विठला पांडुरंग विठले हरी नारायण हरी नारायण पुरंदर विठले हरी नारायण हरी नारायण हरी नारायण भज नारायण हरी नारायण भज नारायण साई नारायण सत्य नारायण हरी नारायण सत्य नारायण साई नारायण सत्य नारायण हरी नारायण सत्य नारायण विठला हरी विठला
The philosophical quest begins with an inquiry into the nature of the self. Who am I? This question has intrigued profound thinkers throughout history. We all perceive the I and make statements like, I am talking, I am walking, I am eating, sitting, standing. But what is this I remains a mystery. When you look at your family album, you find your picture as a newborn child and say, that is me. And then there is a picture of a 3-year-old toddler. You say, that is also me. And then is the picture of a 13-year-old adolescent. You say, that is me as well. Now, which of these 3 bodies is you? If you were the corporeal frame, you would have changed multiple times in your lifetime. Modern medical science informs us that the process of regeneration is continuous in the body. Cells die out and new cells take their place. So within the space of 7 years, all the cells in your body have been replaced with new ones. If your identity came from this matter that creates your body, then you would also have changed multiple times. However, that is not the case. So what then is this I? There's a very illustrative story from the Vedic literature. King Janak was a learned ruler of the kingdom of Mithila. One night, he had a terrible dream in which the enemy kingdom attacked him. And in the brutal war that took place, his army was decimated until finally Janak found himself leaning before the conquering monarch, begging for his life. The conquering king said, I am giving you one chance, disappear from my sight. Tomorrow, if we find you after sunrise, you will live no more. Janak took that respite and ran out from Mithila until he reached a forest. But in his fright, he continued to run until it was dark in the night. He was now hungry and thirsty. He reached a tribal villager's hut and knocked to beg for food. A lady opened and felt pity but refused to let him in. She gave him rations and a stove so that Janak could cook the food outside. He used the lentils and the rice to prepare some hot steaming khichdi and then placed the khichdi on a banana leaf and was about to relieve the pain in his famished stomach when 2 hogs fighting with each other appeared in the clearance. And in their tussle, they knocked over the banana leaf containing the khichdi. That was the last straw for Janak. Seeing the food become inedible, his grief knew no bounds and he began wailing in distress. That misery broke his dream. On waking up, he discovered his comfortable palace and its bedroom, and this set him thinking. Which of these realities was true? Was that true or this true? He pronounced a challenge for the learned people in his kingdom to illuminate him on the nature of the truth. Many scholars were tempted by the rewards he had offered, but in their attempts they failed until Ashtavakra appeared. Ashtavakra was an astonishing personality in Indian history. When he was in the womb of his mother, his father would recite Vedic knowledge, and Ashtavakra sitting inside would find mistakes. That hurt the pride of father, who said, "You are so conceited, you are not yet even born, and you are finding flaws in my Vedic understanding. Go, become crooked in 8 places." So poor Ashtavakra, when he was born, had a body that was crooked in 8 different joints. Now Ashtavakra took up the challenge of Janak and appeared in his court. In the court of Janak, the greatest scholars of the time used to sit. However, seeing this deformed child walking in, they all broke into laughter. Ashtavakra was not to be put down. He said in a strong, commanding voice, Janak, I had heard that the biggest scholars of Bharatvarsh sit in your court, but here I am seeing all cobblers and shoemakers sitting. Now that statement stunned the entire assembly into silence. But the learned Janak understood and said, O sage, you have called these scholars as cobblers. They wish to know why they have been insulted like this. Ashtavakra said, the answer should have been evident. They are looking at my hide, my skin, and reaching a decision. They don't even know that the self is beyond the body. In fact, it is even beyond the mind. Ashtavakra now went about illuminating Janak and responding to his question. Is this the truth or is that the truth? Ashtavakra said the truth is that which always exists. This corroborates with Sri Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita, Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Arjun, of that which is true there is never any cessation, and that which comes to an end is temporary and not the eternal truth. So Ashtavakra said, the situation you found yourself in as a harrowed king running away from a conqueror, does it exist now? Janak said no. Ashtavakra said likewise. Your situation now, did it exist in the dream? No, O sage. So both of these are not the eternal truth. However, there is one entity that has remained unchanged through all of these experiences, and that is the entity within yourself from which you derive consciousness. This entity is the soul. Now, modern medical science does not know of the existence of this spiritual energy through its material instruments. And yet, they validate Ashtavakra's viewpoint in different ways. Dr. Barrett, a professor of neuroscience in Northeastern University in Boston with research projects at the Harvard Medical School, says that neuroscience is of the view that our brain creates a carefully constructed hallucination of the reality we are in. What does that mean? Like, for example, if I ask you what is the color of this cloth, you will say it is saffron or orange. Now, what is this saffron or orange? It is merely the experience your brain is having when light of 630 nanometers wavelength impinges upon your senses. You have learned to identify that sensory experience with the color saffron. So neuroscience says your brain is creating a hallucination, and Ashtavakra said the same thing. And between all these changing experiences is the unchanging reality of the soul. Let me read about it to you from my latest book, Spiritual Secrets from Hinduism. All matter is lifeless, and our body is made from matter. Hence, the body by itself cannot be the reason for life. Science realizes this paradox and is grappling to explain the phenomenon of consciousness. If matter could be manipulated to create consciousness, then scientists would do the same in laboratories. However, nobody has ever succeeded in creating life from matter. Philosophers, therefore, continue to debate over the origin of consciousness. The Vedas explain that life or sentience originates from the soul. As long as the Atma is present in the body, the brain, heart, kidneys, and liver continue to function. Once the soul departs, the organs are still there, but the functions cease. The body is now deemed dead. Hence, consciousness or life comes from the soul. When we talk about the soul, a curiosity arises about its size. How big is this entity called the spirit, the jiva, the Atman? There could be three possibilities. Either it is Vibhu, infinitely large, like the Brahman. Alternatively, it could be Madhyamakar, of finite size and shape. Or else, the third possibility is that it is Anu, subtle, Sukshma, infinitesimal. Which of these three is the verdict of the Vedas? Is the Atman infinitely large like Brahman? The martyr Shruti states, Punyena punyalokam nayati papena papam ubhabhyameva manushya-lokam. If you do good deeds, you shall be promoted to the celestial abodes. If you perform sinful deeds, you will go to the nether regions. And engaging in a mixture of good and bad deeds will bring you back on the earth realm. Now, if the soul was infinite in dimension, there would be no question of going up or down. It would stay where it is and cover all of heaven and hell, encompassing them. So the soul is not Vibhu. Is it Madhyamakar or finite? This creates, again, a logical problem. Because the soul is transmigrating from life form to life form through bodies of different shapes and sizes. Now let us say that in one life, the soul receives the body of an elephant, and in the next life, it receives the body of a pigeon. How will the soul the size of an elephant fit into the body of the pigeon? And this is the reason why the Vedic scriptures disagree with the Jain darshan, which says the soul is Madhyamakar and equal to the body in size. The Vedas say on this point, you don't have it right. So how big is the soul? It is Anu. The Mundaka Upanishad of the Atharva Ved says, Eshaha Anuhu Atma. The Kathopanishad states, Anu Pramanat. The Shvetashvatar Upanishad of the Yajurved states, Balagra Shatabhagasya Shatadha Kalpitasya Cha Bhago Jiva Savigyeya Sachanantyaya Kalpate. It says, take a hair, chop the tip of it into 100 parts. You will say, impossible. The Upanishad says, suppose the impossible becomes possible. Now take one of those parts and chop it into a further 100 parts. The size you get is the size of the soul. But this is just a manner of expression. What the Upanishad wants to convey is that the soul is infinitesimal. And yet, by its presence, it has enlivened the whole body with consciousness. Now, scientists studying certain paranormal phenomena have realized that the consciousness must have its source beyond the body. Dr. Michael Sabom, an authority on NDEs, near-death experiences in the Western world, as a practicing cardiologist at the Emory Hospital, discovered that many of his patients who had cardiac arrests, where the blood flow to the brain stops, if they were given successful resuscitation in the first 4 minutes and were fortunate enough to recover, they reported astonishing out-of-body experiences where they could describe the operation chamber, the number of people there, and what was happening. So he wrote a book based on his experiences as a cardiologist, Recollections of Death, a medical study. And in this book that was published in 1980, the most astonishing case was of Pam Reynolds. This lady needed a neurosurgery which was extremely intricate and would have taken a long time. So the doctors took up the challenge. They cooled down her body so that when the blood flow stopped, the brain would not deteriorate. And the surgery was done at freezing temperatures, but it turned out to be successful. Pam Reynolds came back to consciousness after 40 minutes. Now, with the brain not functioning at all, she was able to describe what was happening in the operation theatre. Our Vedic scriptures have their own version of NDE, the famous case of Ajamil. Ajamil, as a practicing celibate student, brahmachari, had achieved such prowess that the Bhagavad Puran states he had become Jitendriya. And yet he suffered a downfall where he got attached to a lady of the night and married her and had 9 children from her. He was now a reasonably old man when an event happened. Some holy personalities arrived in the village who had the rule that they would only spend the night in the house of a Vaishnav. Looking around for Vaishnavas, they reached Ajamil's house and they asked him that they would like to spend the night there if he was a Vaishnav. Ajamil's innate spiritual faith was revived looking at the saintly personalities. He wrongly informed them that he was a Vaishnav, gave them a room to stay. These sages did satsang through the night, which Ajamil kept on listening, and that led to a tremendous repentance of the sinful ways he had fallen to. Next morning, he went and fell at their feet and confessed that he had told them a lie. He was not a Vaishnav, but his intention was sacred. Those sages forgave him for his transgression and they said, "Never mind, we are giving you a helpline to save yourself. Have another child and name that child Narayan." That's exactly what Ajamil did. Now, as the child started growing up, Ajamil became so infatuated. His mind became completely attached to Narayan, and all day long he would be calling his child's name until he was on his deathbed. And just before he fainted unconscious, his mind went to his child and he said Narayan. And then he had his near-death experience. From one side came the Yamdoots and the other side came the Vishnudoots. And the discussion that happened between these two beings reminded him of the knowledge he had cultivated in his youth. And when he came back to consciousness, he used that knowledge to go and practice austerities in Haridwar and completely attach his mind to God and finally attain the supreme destination. So, we are not merely this body, which is made of matter. Now, these NDE experiences prove that. But the Vedas say we are not even the mind. Beyond that is the soul. We will understand the nature of the soul and many other topics from our Hindu scriptures as we continue in our discussion of spiritual secrets from Hinduism.
Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Swami Sathya Sai Hare Bhaktadana Samrakshaka Bhaktadana Samrakshaka Pati Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Shashi Bhagana Shri Kara Sarva Pranapati Swami Sarva Pranapati Ashrit Kalpaladika Ashrit Kalpaladika Apadvadava Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Mata Pita Guru Daivam Mariyantayunive Swami Mariyantayunive Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nagendra Shayana Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Omkara Rupa Jai Sai Mahadeva Sathya Sai Mahadeva Mangala Arati Antuko Mangala Arati Antuko Mandara Giridhari Om Jai Jagadisha Hare Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Deva Shanti 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 Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba